Hi guys, welcome to the Clover Academy. We are going to integrate Apache Camel, which is integration framework and open source, which we are going to integrate with the Springboot 3.2 version. Let's get into the session, guys. Thank you. Hi guys, welcome to the Clover Academy. We are going to integrate Apache Camel. Is an integration framework. It's a enterprise integration pattern. So which we are going to integrate with the Spring Boot, right? So Apache Camel is a middle layer. So it's decoupling the integration process, right? So when we are, let's say we are pushing the pulling the file from one source to another source location, we can do that via Apache Camel, or it could be a queue, like receiving the message from RabbitMQ queue and then placing the data into the database. So that is another destination, like transformation, right? One place to another transformation. Or we can call microservices. Let's say I have microservice A and B. We can call microservice A to B. So that logic, integration logic, we can place it in the Apache Camel. So normally we can do that, we are calling the REST API template and then we can call that. But if you have like 50 plus microservices and we want to integrate into 100 plus endpoints, and it's very hard to maintain that, right? So it's completely decoupling the process. The Apache Camel is completely decoupling the integration logic, right? It's decoupling that, so we can keep it in one place. So when if there is any changes, we are going to change only in the integration Apache Camel. We are not going to change the actual microservice or source or destinations or any other. We are not going to changes in the microservice, because we can, as a developer, can focus on the business logic. They don't need to worry how to integrate that, and no need to bother about integration logic, right? It's already there in the out of the box of Camel Apache Camel is already there, so we can just use that in the Camel. We can use that integration, and we can integrate that, right? That's how we are going for integration framework. That's called Apache Camel, right? Let's get into the session how we can integrate. I'm going to create my microservice A and B using Spring Boot application, and then we are calling the microservice A to B and pulling the data. A is calling and receiving the data using Apache Camel. And another way is we are file transformation. We are keeping the file in the source directory, and then we are pushing to the destination directory. That is one another way of doing that. So these couple of examples we will try it in Apache Camel, right? So this session, let's get into the session, guys. Yeah, I used a Spring initializer, creating a microservice A and microservice B. Actually, currently it's microservice A and microservice B, and then adding the dependency, Apache Camel dependency. So I created a Spring initializer. Through that, I created a Spring Boot microservice. I just opened two microservice. For microservice A, I'm just opening that. Go to dependency, pom.xml, and make it full screen. And then test class, maybe we can remove that, not required test class. And the dependency I already noted. These are the dependencies: Spring Camel server started, Camel Jackson started, Camel Spring Boot started, and then Camel HTTP. These for REST APIs. And finally we are adding Lambo. Lambo is just for generating the get resetter, right? That logic. That's the reason I added this. Okay, so I created this. These are the dependencies, required dependencies I created. So for Apache Camel integration, so microservice A, right? And then I'm going to remove the test class because test class I'm not going to use. I'm removing the test class. Yeah, I have created both microservice. I updated the pom.xml in both microservice, and I'm just going to create a router. I'm going to create file class uh, cloud4 camel router. Cloud4 camel router I just created. So this is a router, and extends router, extends route builder. We have to extend this, and this should be a component. just add component and then implementing the configuration method, default config method, and so this is how we have created. And now I'm going to create route, right? So simple timer, I'm just going to use that first line timer. So this is a timer and log the timer, so every time this will call, and from timer, first timer, and then this will print the log timer. 2 is log, it's going to log 2, and source is timer and log. So this is a very simple one, just for the information. So this is only one microservice I have created. Yeah, I'm going to start the application now, Spring Boot application. I think it will start, and once you integrate it, it will show that. I am just full screen that. Yeah, first the microservice A I integrated, port 80 is already in, is there. So I'm going to change the port number in microservice A, server.port equal to 8082. Yeah, now I'm just going to start the application, Java application, and Java. Yeah, it's running. See, the router is created, so every time it's keep printing, the body is null, but the router is created, it's calling the first timer, so it's calling and log printing that, right? So this is a very simple router I created. It's a time based router. It's time and reading the timer and then logging the time, right? So this is the first one, and then I'm just going to create REST API, how we can create the REST endpoints. So I'm going to create microservice B. I'm going to create a REST controller, create class Cloud4 Camel REST controller. So this is REST controller, creating the REST controller, and annotation, REST annotation, REST controller. So this use case, I'm just going to microservice A is going to call microservice B using Apache Camel, right? That's how I'm going to do now. REST endpoints, I'm just going here. Yeah, there are 2 endpoints I'm going to create. So first endpoint is a get API, is a get method, get orders. Just I'm hard coding the value, received orders, that's it. And another one is post method, order detail, so return response body. So response body is a list object, list of orders it is returning, that's it. So I need to create order object here because it's getting some error. I'm just creating the order object, order, and get setters automatically generates. So I'm annotating this annotation I'm doing. Yeah, because this is Lambo. I'm just importing this. Yeah, I imported, I saved. There is only one error is there, array list, importing that array list. Yeah, so there are 2 simple REST API. Just I call order, hard coder received order return. Another is get order detail. Order detail will list of orders I hard coded, creating the 2 orders, 2 order objects, and then adding in the list and returning the list of orders, right? So now we are going to create the same order object here as well in microservice B as well, because we want to get that, right? So the same object we are going to create microservice B as well. Yeah, it's created, and then microservice A and microservice B, right? Both are created, order object and dependency is created. Now I'm just going to, I have written already the logic, so not timer. Yeah, time also you can use. First REST API, I'm just going to call the REST API router return. Maybe we can remove this one. At least from timer trigger, repeat count 1 is from timer, based on the timer it will trigger that. When you are triggering is calling the REST API. Basically This, if we see this camel, Apache Camel documentation, we have multiple endpoints. We can connect to the Kubernetes and we can pass to the AWS S3. There are multiple, and Cassandra DB. So we have multiple endpoints. We can integrate that. These are the things on the left hand side. You can see that, right? So I just to the Kafka or to the RabbitMQ or AMQP or so there are multiple endpoint source and destination. We can do the transformation, multiple transformation of steps we can do. So I just create a REST. I'm just going the documentation. Here they have already given how to transfer to the REST API, how to call. So I just scroll down. So one by one they are giving all the steps. You can take this example, and this way I just going to call get orders. Orders means what? Microservice A is written the routers in microservice A, and extending the route builder, and then configure method override and trigger. Just timer trigger, I return this REST, calling REST get method. This is a method name. REST API get method, get a method, and orders is a method name. It's a URL name. URL. If you go to REST control in microservice A, you can see get orders, right? So now I'm just going to call this router. I'm going to run the microservice A. It has to return the and log.fetch data body. It is printing the response. So I'm just going to run the application microservice A. But before that, we need to start microservice B as well, because we are getting the result from microservice B, right? So I'm just going to start the microservice B. Let's see, microservice B is started. Yeah, no, sorry, there is one more error. We have to, here also we have to start port number, we have to change. So I'm just going to change server dot port equal to 8083. Now I'm going to start microservice B. Say started or not. Yeah, it started. It's launching. Yeah, it's fine. See, you can see the message here. Router is startup, router is created, route, right? Camel route. And I'm just going to microservice B, microservice A, sorry, A I'm going to call. So now it will display the it will call the REST API microservice B and display the response. So some error is coming. Host name must be registered. Okay, we have to put the host name here. This configuration dot localhost. What is the port number? So we have to add that. So we have not added. That's why it's giving error. This configuration dot host localhost 8083. Right. There is a port number of microservice B and localhost. If we when we are deploying the Kubernetes cluster, we have to use service name dot port number, right? Since it's a local, I just given the local IP address. Okay, now I'm going to start microservice. I'm going to start microservice A again. Let's see. A will call B and display the result. Router will call via router. See, it's calling router fetch data, received orders. So it's getting the response, right? This is a response, received order. Now because it's calling the get orders API and getting the response, so this response, this is a test order, received orders is coming. So this way we can call that. If you see this is a second REST API is a post method. We'll call this post method response body. This will call. So I'm just going here. I'm removing this method, this logic, and then I'm putting this. If you see that timer trigger repeat count, same thing, but here post instead of get we are writing post. So post method order detail. So the API name is order detail, API URL. Here JSON you can import it. List also response type is list. This I am giving here list. Unmarshal, we are going to unmarshal the response, and fetch data body we are going to display the response, right? So now I'm just going to stop the microservice A and then calling again. So now the router is called microservice B and then display the stop order details. See, it's calling, loading. Yeah, it's called. See, router 1 log is fetch data order ID and kids woman's price how much, and there are two orders are there, so both orders are displaying, order 1 and order 2. It is displaying, right? It's calling my microservice A is calling microservice B, and B is returning this result via Apache Camel, right? So this is how we have to integrate the basic, this is a basic API. So in between we can write multiple logics and processing, and then writing the business logic, and we can call another method. All those things we can do that, but since it's a demo, just I added very few steps, but we can write number of steps on that based on our use cases. We can write the logic, and we can abstracting the business logic, and we can do that, right? We can process the response. We can write the process method dot process, and we can do multiple things based on the use cases, right? So now I have done this simple REST API call. So now I'm going to file transformation, right? This file transformation is nothing but from file A to B we need to call API. Let's say I'm commenting this method because there should be only one, right? So I'm just writing the configure. So we can call camel A to camel to another camel, we can call. So it's kind of a chain of operation we can do. So now I write in the simple file transformation. So I created a folder input file in the C drive, and then same drive I created output folder, moving the files to input to output directory. So I'm just going to show you. Stop the microservice A, and so C drive I'm going to show input folder. There are two files are there. If I go to output folder, nothing is there, right? Now we are going to transfer that. So if I run this, router will call, it will push the files from input folder to output folder. I'm just going to start that. Yeah, router is started. If you see this, router is called. See, input file starter router C drive. If you go and check, it will be transferred. See, now output folder, there are two files. It is transferred. Output folder. Before that it was empty. Now it's transferred the file. So this is very simple file transformation I have written. So like that you can do multiple transformation within the same class, within the same router. There are multiple things can be done based on our use cases, right? And then if I want to, I'm just commenting this code. If I want to call another class within the same, we can call that. I have written a couple of things. So like can take this process bean. Yeah, I can uncomment that. We can uncomment that. For example, let us say bean class. You can write a class something like class process bean, but this should be like another class. We can auto wire and give that, but since demo I'm just writing the same thing. You can put component annotation. Method should not come here. I'm writing component annotation, component, and then public void route display. So we can write the logging method. Logger I have already given this. So I have created a processor bean. So you have to annotate a component, and then logging, just simple logging. If I run this, I just copy this process bean here. I just copy this process bean here. Dot class you give. So now if I call this method will get called from the configure method. So this is just calling microservice A. I'm just calling. This is a way how to call another bean, and then how to process that data. So for that example only I have written this. If I see this, log will print. See, route bean is getting called. Log is printing. So this is how we have to print the log, right? So now I'm going to write a process method. Dot process. This method will process. We are writing the processor like new. We don't need to instantiate that component. We can just directly create a class like this class uh, process process method, something like that you can write, and then you can put a logger, same logger you can put display, same thing, but you can change it to route display, uh, route process. So this processor will process the data, right? That's what you will do. You can put new, no need to annotate a component, you can just direct bean, you can get it and process the data. This method will process the data, right? So this will process the data. We have to implements process, implements process we have to give, otherwise it will not, we have to give, we have to implement the process method processor, and then we have to implement the out of the box method. So I'm just clicking that and add an implement method. So this process method exchange object will be coming, so we can print the exchange or exchange router process, like router process, and we can print the exchange like exchange dot get message dot get body, we can do that, right? So this is a way we can just transfer the processing the data, receiving that and processing data. So process method process new process method, so we have to write it. I'm just going to start that microservice CA. Let us see what response is coming. So now process method also will return, yeah, it's calling. See, so okay, we need to stop that port number microservice VA. I just stopped that, and then I'm just going to start that again. See display, see, both are displaying. Your router process is getting display order message, route process is getting called, it is displaying the order ID, order number. So this is a way we have to process that. See, router process we are passing, this API response is coming, so we can process this, we can parse that, and we can do whatever operations. That's what we are doing here. Process method which will automatically pass the response object, this response object, right? So this response object will automatically pass as a exchange parameter, exchange object. We can read that exchange dot get message dot get body. See, that's what I'm calling. See, this is displaying the response, right? So this is how we have to call one microservice to another microservice REST API, and then we are processing the API response, right? This is how we have to do. Process method, simple process, and then new process method, this implements processor, and then override the exchange method, and then it will process, get the body exchange dot get message dot get body. This is how we have to print the response, processing the response. Okay, so next, thank you for watching this. Next session we are going to cover how we can process a RabbitMQ queue, how we are receive the message from the queue, and then how we are transferring the RabbitMQ message to another RabbitMQ server, so the server or broker. So we will look into the next session on this, right? Thank you for watching and listening. We are looking forward to join your club for recording.